Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. I'm back with another video for you guys. It's another character retrospective, Joshua Collins, Barnabas's dad, played by the late great Lewis Edmonds. There's so many things to get to with this character. The first time you sort of get an inkling for this character before meeting actually him is at a costume party of all places in the present day. In 1967, Barnabas Collins actually throws a costume party of the period of 1795 at the old house. And dressed in order, you have Lewis Edmonds, who's dressed as Joshua, which he's going to play the character anyway. Na- uh, Joan Bennett is playing Naomi, which is Joshua's wife. Victoria's playing Josette. Now, we know that's not going to be the case for 1795. And you have, um, gosh, Nancy Barrett Carolyn playing Millicent. And you have Anthony George playing Burke Devlin, which, yes, Anthony George is going to play Burke Devlin. Or actually, Jeremiah Collins. It's a Dark Shadows video. It's okay. Um, that's funny. So, when do you actually meet the character? In the past, where you should really, in 1795. To quote Elizabeth Collins Stoddard, the past is a dangerous sin, and it is. Really, here's Joshua. He is this wealthy, hardworking businessman, but he is a very ruthless son of a gun, and he is very cruel and very mean and very direct. He doesn't hit anybody. This isn't, you don't really see that, but you sort of get that inclination from him that he has no problem punishing servants right away when he punishes Ben Stokes for talking to Victoria Winters for scaring her, really, because he looked like Matthew Morgan. Obviously, Thayer David plays Ben Stokes, which is really cool. We know Thayer David's going to go on to play Timothy Elliott Stokes. Awesome character. Ben Stokes is an awesome character too. That's another character retrospective I really need to do as Ben. But to touch on Joshua, really, when I think about the Collins family, when I think about where the entitlement, where did the entitlement come from? Where is it best represented? Where does the nose up in the air, proud Collins pride, where does that resonate most, really? And yes, you can see it in Roger and you could see it in Elizabeth. I'm not saying that's not there for those characters, and you can see that in Carolyn, and you can see the arrogance in the three characters too. But you really want to look at where that really is, where that is cemented most. Look no further, my friends, than Joshua Collins. This character just defines what it is, was, and always will be to be a Collins. My buddy Patrick McRae, in his Dark Shadows Daybook, he had touched upon class. How, when Barnabas beat Willie, well, in Barnabas's time in 1795, masters did tend to beat their servants. Well, guess what? Joshua, he displayed class, and he let you know where his class was and where yours was. He had no problem. The biggest thing with Joshua is it's not that everybody was on par with him. To Joshua, everybody was underneath him. I've touched upon in my Jeremiah Collins character retrospective, I was touching on Joshua a bit, that Joshua was literally trying to arrange a marriage between his own brother Jeremiah and their cousin Millicent. And really, he's 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 not practically, he is ordering Jeremiah to pretty much marry Millicent. He's like, you will marry your cousin. You will marry her. You will do. And Jeremiah just ain't having none of it. I think that's what I love about Anthony George's Jeremiah most, really, that I didn't touch upon. I've touched upon it a bit. He wasn't really having none of it. Well, he really wasn't. He just was having none of Joshua's nonsense. To him, it was nonsense that Joshua was treating him like a kid. And really, that's how Joshua treated a lot of his own family members. You could say, well, Barnabas was his son, and Sarah was his little girl, his daughter. Yes, they were, but keep in mind, Barnabas is a grown man. Jeremiah is his brother and his business partner, and he's treating Jeremiah like a little kid. His wife, for God's sake, his own wife, the mother of his kids, he literally treats her like a second class citizen, like less than a second class citizen. He treats her like a kid too. And really, that sort of does define 1795. Women were sort of treated that way back in that time period. They were treated less than second rate citizens, and he treats her that way. He just he yells at her, he yells at everybody, and how he treats Ben is just so awful. I mean, he punishes Ben at every turn. He doesn't beat him necessarily. You don't see that, but you get the sense that he has no problem ordering it if he were to. Lewis Edmonds' posture for Joshua Collins is really on display. A very puffy, puffed out chest, proud man who's who bellows at any chance. He has no problem confronting somebody. He's very, very entitled. And he has no problem throwing his weight around or throwing orders around because he is. There's no question in 1795 who's in charge, and it's Joshua. Joshua is just completely in charge. Some people might say, well, it sort of compares to Scrooge or Daddy Warbucks. No, those characters are nowhere near what Joshua Collins is. They don't have them. Yes, Scrooge has meanness, but Joshua makes Scrooge's meanness look like an act of kindness. I mean, this dude literally just has no problem yelling at people. And anytime someone wants to talk to him, it's sort of like they talk to him, but when he bellows back, they're like, okay, they don't want to fight with the dude or argue with him. And really, when he gets turned into a cat, it's like you really do miss Lewis Edmonds as Joshua because you were so used to him bellowing, and then when he comes back, it's like you got to get used to that again. It's like, oh, Joshua's back. People are gonna get yelled at here, and they do. That's right. Angelique turns him to a cat. Funny thing though, when they're getting the herb, when Angelique and Ben are gathering the stuff to turn poor turn Joshua into a cat. Ben Stokes, third David, I gotta give him credit. He cracked me up on this, and it's still to this day. This is funny. If I can find the clip, I'll put it in the description box. But Ben Stokes says about turning Jeremiah into a jackass, a donkey, just working him over, like beating him, because Ben says about how Joshua beats him. And even I, Laura Parker, even Angelique's like look at him like, Ben, like what? Like, she's shocked by that, and she's a witch. She's like, Ben, like no, like we're not turning him into a donkey so you can hit him. Like what? Turn him into a donkey. But here's the thing. It's funny, but you sort of wish she would have. You sort of what you want because by this point you're sort of wanting Joshua to get hit. You are. It's like I'm with Ben. Like Angelique, do it, girl, do it. It, he is such an ass. Talking about Joshua, Mike, the character, not the actor. Lewis Edmonds was an amazing, amazing actor. But he's so on display as Joshua. I've often said Lewis Edmonds' portrayal of Joshua is my favorite character he ever played. And really, it's just everything. It's his presence, it's his poise, it's his dialogue, the way he sells the dialogue. He literally, there was no more matriarch who displayed command and control more than Joshua. I mean, everyone else just pales in comparison. I mean, even Elizabeth, it's like, man, Joshua really loved control. And really, a huge shout out to my buddy Mark Gilman. He had made this point on Skype, and he's right. When Angelique curses Barnabas, you want to talk about a loss of control. That's when it really starts. So when Barnabas has been bitten by the vampire bat, and then Joshua is slowly starting to now lose control. Here's this man. He watches his son die, and he thinks this is it. This is over. So what's he do? What's he do? And this perplexes everybody. Like, Josette's like, what? You're gonna say what? In the Collins film, Barnabas Collins went to England. They don't write Barnabas died. Nope. Barnabas went to England, and thus the lie is born. Barnabas went to England, and no one says different. No, and he tells everybody, the Dupre family, everybody, no contradicting this in town. They ask, Barnabas went to London. I mean, Joshua puts his foot down, and this is really, I think some of the Collins family history book is just more. It's just, and again, it's more of an attempt of Joshua trying to have control over the situation, have some control over this curse. Now he doesn't necessarily believe in a curse. He even doesn't believe it when he sees Barnabas is alive and a vampire. He even shoots Barnabas. I'll get into when Joshua really lost control here in a minute. But Joshua does not really believe in witches or a curse. But when he meet when he goes to the old house because Nathan Forbes tells him, "Hey, your son Barnabas, he's the Collinsport Strangler," and Joshua's like, "What?" Like, now Joshua knows Barnabas is dead, but everyone else assumes Barnabas went to England. That's what's being spread around. Barnabas went to England. No one knows Barnabas is dead but the family and the Dupre family, and they ain't saying shit. So he goes to the old house. He orders Ben like, show him to me, and he goes down into the basement. He shoots his own son, but it does not work. Again, he did not load it with silver bullets. It was just a normal bullet. And Barnabas and him have this confrontation, and the lines are amazing. Lewis Edmonds and Jonathan Frid, man, that they're really at their best when they're father and son in 1795. I mean, it's just 1795 is just a gem, and it's terrifying to watch because like the terror is coming. It's just holy shit. This went from bad to worse to worse to worse. Everything just falls apart. And Joshua, says, "Well, you can just come. You'll stay in the tower. We'll get help. I'll get something." And he gets this woman, this witch doctor, sort of, to try to help him, but it doesn't work. Angelique's curse is in full swing. Sarah is gone. Sarah is dead at this point. By the time this happens, Sarah is dead, and Sarah's death rattles Joshua, it rattles Naomi. Naomi's lost two kids now. She doesn't know Barnabas is still alive until Nathan, complete dick, tells her, tells her, your son's up in the tower. And like, she can't believe. Naomi drinks poison, goes up, and dies. I mean, you talk about this curse just affecting everybody. It did. And Angelique's curse is just so, it's purely and simply evil, folks. It really is. Angelique's curse is just sickening. And it's amazing to me that Joshua is still so proud that he's literally still doing everything just to fight this. With, I think really what helps Joshua most of all is Daniel Collins being saved. I think that sort of gives him some sort of redemption hope, even though he knows he's lost a lot of things. Now, I do think, I'll tell you where I think he ultimately lost the control battle here in a second, but I want to touch upon Joshua and Daniel. Here's Joshua. He's declared Naomi, incompetent. Nathan Forbes is dead by this point. He just said Nathan ran off, which everyone believes because Nathan was a ladies' man. Millicent's marriage never happened. He wrote it in the history book. They had it annulled pretty much. Well, not pretty much. They did. Joshua had that shit annulled. Nope, never happened. And that's, I mean, complete control and egomaniac is one Joshua Collins. Him and Angelique would have been perfect together. But yeah, he just, to me, where he finally loses control. Keep in mind, this guy had no problem pulling the trigger late earlier on, right? He goes to his son's coffin in the mausoleum. He has the silver bullets in the gun. He points it to his son's head. Can't do it. Can't do it. This is Angelique's curse right here in full effect. Finally bringing Joshua to his knees. But what's Joshua do? He plan B. I give him credit. This is sort of where he somewhat gains it back. He chains Barnabas up. You know what? I'm just going to chain you up and no one will find you. And really, I can't blame Joshua for doing this. No one knows about the secret room but Joshua, Barnabas, and Ben. That's it. And Joshua, he ain't going to tell no one else about it. So why not? And Barnabas stays there until 1967. A long, long time. So Joshua, what gets written in the history book? Well, let's see. Let's rattle it off. Millicent, who got married to Nathan Forbes, it gets wrote that she never married. Complete bullshit. Josette's death is recorded, but it does not say that a witch caused it. It does not say that Barnabas was chasing her. It does not say anything about Angela. Oh, Barnabas went to London. Yeah, he didn't go to London. The only, even Naomi's death, even though she dies in 1795/1796, her death is actually recorded way later, that she died way later, which is amazing. We know that's not true. We know Naomi dies. She poisons herself. Sarah's death is, well, technically, Josette's death is recorded correctly. Yes, she jumps from Widows Hill, but again, it doesn't list the reason exactly why. It doesn't list Angelique. So, Sarah's death is really the only actual death that's listed correctly, that she died of fever. And yes, she did die of fever, but what doesn't get said is Sarah saw Barnabas and went after him. She saw Barnabas in the dark. It breaks Barnabas's heart when Sarah dies too. You talk about just pure evil. Here's this curse affecting this little girl. And really, I mean, Sarah loved Barnabas. She was his sister. She cared very much for him. She's just a little kid. It's like, oh my God. I've often said there's reasons I can't forgive Angelique, and Sarah Collins' death is that reason. I do not forgive that woman. Joshua. So Joshua writes all this, make sure all this is recorded as historical fact, even though most of it's bullshit. And this is Joshua's pride and ego just coming into play. Really, the Collins family history book is Joshua's attempt to sort of have this sort of last bit of control and last laugh at Angelique. Did the curse affect him? It affected Joshua when it mattered most, when he wanted to kill his son, when he wanted to put his son out of his misery. That's when the curse really affected him. That's when he lost all control because remember, Joshua had no problem pulling that trigger earlier. He had no problem going bam, like not even hesitant. And next time, nope, not even. Doesn't even. Not even close to pulling the trigger. He shuts the lid, they chain it up, and Barnabas lays there for over 100 some odd years until a thief named Willie Loomis lets him out by accident, my friends. Purely by accident. Poor Willie. Oh my God, Willie Loomis. What is it with people named Loomis? Unleashing some sort of evil in this world. You got Dr. Sam Loomis. He lets Mike go out of the asylum. Sorry, Donald Pleasance. Willie Loomis lets Barnabas out of his coffin. Sorry, John Carlin. Oh my God. There's something about that last name. I'm telling you, maybe they were related. No, Willie was Irish, not British, so, but maybe they were just a cousin. There's just when it comes to horror, there's something about the last name Loomis. You just do not have anybody with the last name Loomis associated with you as a friend, as a bar buddy, as a drinking buddy, as anything. Because it'll end poorly for you. Most likely, 99.9% chance it'll end badly. But Joshua just, he hopes for the best. When he puts that Collins family history book in motion, when it gets wrote, it's his words, but a lot of it's a lie. And, there's some truth in there. The biggest question mark comes this. Naomi Collins, I've touched upon this briefly. Naomi Collins was given jewels by a pirate. Why does Joshua put a legend in a family history book that he knows is going to lead directly to the mausoleum? It's a question I wonder, did the curse really finally get to Joshua? Yes, it did. It did. Mark's right on this. Mark Gilman at I_Barnabas. Go follow him on Twitter. Huge DS fan, like myself. But he's right. Joshua was affected by the curse. I mean, his pride, for all his ego, for all his bravado, this curse did affect this man. I mean, look, though I do believe in my heart of hearts Naomi was a pirate, I do believe Joshua putting that is partially he wants his son to be free. I do think he didn't want his son to stay there forever. I gotta believe he didn't want to. That he did not want he just did it so his son would not be up and around causing chaos. I mean, Joshua Collins isn't going to live forever. He's not immortal. He's not a vampire, and he doesn't want any other generations to really deal with Barnabas at that given time. But then he writes something that he knows is going to lead somebody to the mausoleum, the wrong kind of person. Now you could make the case that he could not foresee a thief coming into the household. Fair enough. I'll give you that because the thing to remember most is Jason McGuire and Willie Loomis did not come to Collinsport looking for Barnabas Collins. Willie Loomis did not come to Collinsport looking for Barnabas. He did not come looking for a tomb or a secret entrance at all. Hell, he found the secret entrance purely by happenstance and accident while he was trying to lift the coffin seal of one Naomi Collins. Hence the legend. Naomi was given jewels by a pirate. It's a hell of a legend, folks, whether she was one or not. But it does beg the question: did Joshua put it in there on purpose, or did Joshua? Well, the more question is: did Joshua put that out of respect for Naomi knowing the truth about her? Did he put it in there so his son could be free one day? Did he put it in there for both reasons, or did he just put it in there and never thought in a million years a thief would come into that house? I will leave that with you folks. I will. I'm just going to leave it right there because, look, Joshua Collins, in all fairness, to close this up, when you look at the Collins family, when you look at how their legacy really is defined, the pride, the bravado, the arrogance, the pride, the everything. Joshua Collins was the purest representation of the Collins family, really. I mean, you can sort of see every generation you know, you could see him in every generation, really. A bit of him in every generation. And no, I'm not just meaning Roger. Though each character is their own and there is their own person in their own right, a bit of them has a bit of Joshua in them. And that's what I'm trying to say. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this character retrospective. Have a fabulous first day of April. And by the way, by the time you watch this video, happy anniversary to the Shadow. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.